Okay, for this tutorial we will be tinting the windshield on a Toyota Highlander. First step obviously would be to get anything out of the way and then to measure your windshield. This is a pretty big one, so this is not for people who are not used to tinting windows. Here's my tint. This is a ceramic tint, 75%, made by Johnson Window Films. That's what we'll be using. So first step you'll want to do is to put some baby powder on your window. And that's if it's a little moisture in that way it makes where your tint can move around a little bit easier. So you pull your tint out, obviously. This is just like doing a back window. So if you're familiar with working on back windows, then it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing that you need to be careful about working on a windshield is the fact that you can overheat a windshield and break one. So just not much room in here to work on a windshield, but we'll make it work. Okay. Now, just like your back window, what you're going to want to do is get your hand wet like that, and that will help you to tack down your tint to make it stick to the window. So put it one line in the center, going across the whole window. So while you're over here, again, same thing as the other side. Hand is wet, and going across the windshield. And now your tint won't slide around in the areas you don't need it to slide around, which is the center of the glass, of the tint. So of course, just like the side window or back window, you cut your excess off. Now you notice I'm not cutting it perfect here, just to where the tint won't get messed up from the edges from overheating. Now this tint is 75%, and it's a ceramic film. It will actually block out more heat than the rest of this car, which is at 20%, which is right there. It's going to block out more heat than that, which is pretty incredible film. And so most people put this on their windshields if they need to block out heat from for their skin, if they're sensitive to the sun, or for their eyes also. They'll use this film. You got to get a prescription from an eye doctor or from a skin doctor to apply it legally. So once you get that done, you take your heat gun, and you heat it up just like the back window. Now you work in each side. I work in quadrants, most people do. So you work, I typically start on the bottom right. Doesn't really matter where you start though. So I'm working on this quarter of the window. Now, because this is a ceramic film, it's actually going to take a little bit longer to shrink than, say, a single ply dyed film, which we don't use, or a carbon film. It's just taking a little bit longer. So what I do, you can heat up the back side of the film. That helps a lot too. Alright, so I worked the bottom right, now I'm going to work the top right. Remember I said you can work the back side, look at that. So this is called a hot pocket. When you heat the back side of it, and that what you're doing is you're getting the back side of the tint hot too, so you can shrink a little bit easier with the ceramic film. You can also use it with the carbon or dyed, any other films. You can do that trick, make it go a little bit faster, but it's not as necessary. So, you work your corners. You see how I'm just shrinking, not too much. It doesn't need to be perfect now. Not yet, because we still have to do a wet shrink. Well, we don't have to, but I like to do both. So you just get most of it down by shrinking like this. This is just the first step. No. So now I'm working my bottom left side of the window. Again, heating the back side. Getting some air between the film and the glass. Normally I do these tutorials and then do the voice post, the instructions after I film. But today I thought I would talk during the video. So you might hear me breathing heavy or something from installing the windows or something, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it works out. If I can do this more often, more of these tutorials, I'll try to get more for you guys. I have a few other videos I would like to do, how to install a back window, how to dry shrink, talk a little bit more in depth for the people who've not done that before. So this is what we're doing, we're dry shrinking. How to do removals, I want to do a video about how to remove tint as well. So there you are. Now that's already shrunk pretty much. A dry shrink. Now you get your tint wet, and this is where you do your wet shrink, because obviously it's wet. That's the only difference. It's the same thing. You start in the middle of the glass and go to the edge here, as you can see, and then work your quadrants same way. Now we should see some fingers going up and down. Here we are, see a couple there, and that's what we should see. You know, see how I'm using my hand first? That's another thing that you can do. Using your hand to separate the film, that way you don't crease it. But you do need to make sure that you have no, got a little overheat right here, but it's okay. You do want to make sure that you don't have any fingers going horizontal. You need to make them all vertical. So that way you don't heat against the grain. You cannot heat against the grain. Otherwise your tint will automatically crease without you even touching it. It will just crease, and we don't want that. Standing on the inside on this side helps a little bit. Alright, so continue your line across the center first. And now, using your hand to smooth it out first. You see my left hand is going, smoothing it out first. And then my my right hand. Got a little crack in his window already by a rock chip there, but it's okay, we'll install it anyway. Okay, so as you can see, there are some fingers that will have to heat out. Typically, if you dry shrink, you can get rid of those right away without having to do a wet shrink. But now I tell you, like I was telling you, this is a very big deal. You can break a windshield if you overheat it. So we're gonna make sure that we get all the fingers put away before we install it. Now you can heat up on the inside after you've installed, and that would be the way to do it. See, now you see my fingers are going horizontal here. If you use your hand, you can make those fingers, force them to go vertical, and then you can heat it and you won't be going against the grain. So he told me he wants me to cut around this sticker here for his car wash. So because this is such a clear film, that's what we'll do, and it's not that big of a deal. You hardly even notice that on the inside unless you really look for it. Now you cut around your rear view mirror. As you can just see, it doesn't have to be perfect now, as long as you're close and you're in the area where you won't see it after it's installed. Not a problem. Now we'll cut around the bottom. There's no pattern here. It doesn't matter how you cut it, as long as you cut your windshield. Now, before I started this video, I broke off a new razor blade. So having a new razor blade, especially with this ceramic film, it does help. So just keep that in mind. I see a sticker on the inside of the window there. I'll have to scrape that off. An old Toyota sticker. 4Runner. I think I called this a Highlander. I'm sorry, guys. This is a 4Runner, not a Highlander. Let's get our heat gun. And again, we heat vertical fingers only, okay? If it's a big one like this, you see here, you can split it with your thumb and make them to smaller ones. So that way you don't crease it with your hard card. You see that? That's exactly what you want right there. That's perfect. And that way there's no way you're going to crease your tint. And a good rule of thumb is if you have it perfect on the outside, then when you install it, it should be perfect too. Good rule of thumb. So everything right now looks perfect. You can even heat the center. Of the fit. Let's see. All right. So now we're gonna continue cutting here around the whole windshield. Just a couple more minutes. We'll be done with this, and we'll get onto the install. And I will be using not a reverse roll because we are inside. I'll be using the Frankenstein method to install. Okay. Always want round edges there. And I'll put a little seam here. Because it's a clear film at 75%, you can get away with doing that. Not a problem. Hardly even noticeable. And if you want to make sure you get all the fingers out, you can heat the center of the film. You see here, heat in the center. You don't need to, but it does help get rid of any fingers if they were to happen when you're installing. Okay, so I looked through the whole windshield. I don't see any fingers left on it, especially ones going horizontal. So now we're gonna go clean it. First we need this tool. This is a special tool. It's called a bulldozer. This allows you to reach the bottom. I think it's around $20 on the internet. You can get them for. And I'll also show you what tools would be helpful. So you got your soap solution and your cleaning agent there. Now here we have a scrubby pad. You see here, this is safe for glass. Some people have even used paper towels to do this. And they just use that to scrub any dirt off that might be caked off. Cigarette smoke especially, man. That stuff can really be caked on. And what I'm doing, I'm feeling to see if there's any dirt at the same time. Now, gotta scrape this sticker off here in the bottom, you see. Now that's the nice part about having a windshield to tint is you can actually scrape it if there's a sticker on it. A back window you cannot scrape. You would damage your defroster lines. Here. Sorry, this part's probably really boring. Watching a sticker come off. Okay. Once you have that off, you just probably scrub it again to see if that way you can feel if there's any stuff on there. Okay, so once you're done scrubbing the whole thing, you want to squeegee it. This is where it's important that you do a good job. So you take your black squeegee. Now you take the black one because it's softer. Okay, so you squeegee your window. Not to leave any squeegee marks. So when you put each squeegee that you do, you know, to make sure that you wipe it off of any dirty water. You can also pull this off too. Put that to the side. This side might be better. There we go. All right. So when you do this, you just make sure that your squeegees swipes overlap each other. That's key. It is. That is key. Making sure that you push the water down. You never want to push the dirty water up. Sometimes you gotta switch and go over with your left hand too. Now when it gets to the second half of the window, I like to use this is called a side sweeper. Let's see here. And It's a lot easier getting a good angle. Now, I made a booby. You see that right there? Left a squeegee mark right there. So, work my way down. Let's do that again. There we go. Perfection. That's beautiful. Now, we're going to install. Again, this is the Frankenstein method. So just make sure you've got lots of soap in your bottle. And now when you do this, I might actually go to the other side. I have more room over there. Spray the outside of your tint. That will make sure that there's no static electric charge. Because when there's static on the window, on the tint, and that can make dirt be attracted to the film when you pull the liner. So pull your liner. Spraying your tint as you go. Don't pull the whole liner off and then spray. You spray it as you go. So without touching the sticky part, we get our hands underneath it, and when you pull this into your car, you make sure you do not touch anything. No headliner, no door. So you can see, guys, it's called a Frankenstein method. You see my arms look like Frankenstein there. So making sure you do not touch the tint, the sticky part, to anything. That is key. I've seen tinters do such a good job with their shrinking process, do such a good job cleaning, and then come to install and they touch the tint to the headliner and pick up all sorts of dirt. Their hairs, even their hair, I've seen their hair touch the tint, and now you got a hair in your tint. That's how that happens. So you install the bottom first. Move the mirror out of the way. They're up here. You can see I'm going around the mirror. Okay. See? There we go. And because I got the soap in the bottle, you know, we can position it, make sure we don't have any light gaps. And okay, here we go, looking good. Now we are going to make sure that we are lined up around our mirror, no light gaps. It looks perfect to me. All right. Some people will even go on the outside and check to make sure. Once you got that on, no light gaps around the whole thing, you spray it, spray your window, and this will allow your squeegee to slide on the tint, just like any side window. You want to spray the outside. Okay, so now some people do this, so you don't have to, but it does make your squeegeeing job a little easier. You smooth it out with your hand first. Now, time for your Blue Max. Some people use an orange crush. I use a Blue Max. Some people even use the yellow squeegee. You can still use that, that's fine. But either way, just like when you're shrinking, you start with your line left and right. So that's what we're going to do. Left and right. And we're going to do a plus this time, not just a line. We're going to do a plus. That way our quadrants are defined. I like to go up first. And so now you got a plus sign. Smooth out your tint. Oh, actually, it's not a plus sign yet. I didn't do the bottom. Okay, so there we go. You smooth out your tint. Now, here is for your bulldozer. Bulldozer for auto, not residential or commercial. This makes your job a lot easier right here, especially on back windows. Maybe not so much of a windshield, but this makes your job a whole lot easier. push all the water out. And so whenever we worked our one side, now we're going to work the top side. I like to push up here. That way I'm not pushing any fingers, forcing any fingers to go to the side. Now you'll have some fingers sometimes that do pop up, and if they're there, well, sometimes you even have to leave them. Let them dry up for a couple days, and then you can push it out. So here's your bulldozer. Smooth that with your hands here. That way you don't have to crease it. Sometimes it does crease when you do that. Haven't done one in a long time like that, but it's a possibility. So if you're starting out, just be careful, that's all. You get a lot of pressure here. You want to make sure you get a lot of pressure on your tools, and that way it doesn't have any bubbles in the center of the tint. I'm just kind of doing a double check here. This just getting everything in the center, as you can see. That way, if I missed anything, then this will get it. Now remember our side sweeper on the bottom here. This helps. Now once you get all that, wipe your dashboard down nice and clean. Don't want water to stay up there. And then anything that's left, you take your hard card, and I like to do this anyway, even if there's nothing there. Get your edges. That kind of seals it down. I got a couple horizontal fingers here, but we can push those up to be vertical instead of horizontal. Now there's something else that you need to do. You need to check it. You always check your tint. Never just walk away. You want to double check it. Make sure it's clean. Don't forget to hook your mirror back up as well. Which this, doing it without looking. I'll probably have to look. There we go. Okay. Around the mirror, we want to push down. And then your little clip that goes back here. Ah, perfection, perfection, beautiful. That's it. You're done. And like I said, you don't want to heat up after it goes in. And if you do, then you want to heat up from the inside, not from the outside. That is how you break a windshield, if you heat it up from the outside. You take your cleaner, and then you clean the window. Now, this is, as I'm cleaning it, I'm looking to see if I left anything on the window, which I did not. Take your cleaner, here we go, that's it, and then we're done. And that is how you tint a windshield on most cars and most SUVs and trucks. Actually, sedans seem to be a little bit easier. They're flatter, less shrinking, but there you go. That's it. That's with Johnson Window Films infrared. It's called the Insulator, 75%. Take care, and we'll see you next time.